Okay, so what we're going to do tonight is talk a little bit about new consultants and what is available for them, what their calling entails, and try to give them as much background and information as possible and show you where the things are located that are there for you as a consultant. If you're a priesthood leader, this is great because this gives you a chance to see where to find the things for these folks. And so with that, we'll get started. Once I get going here. Okay, so this will give us an overview of a consultant's calling and also where to find help, because that's usually the first thing a new consultant wants is help. Okay, learning styles. Really, what you're going to do as a consultant is not what we do here. You're going to want to do one-on-one teaching because that is the best way to teach. We unfortunately use large group instruction because we have no other way to get the word out to 100 different people other than to do it in a big group. Of the three things shown here, probably the least effective thing is to learn on your own, because it usually leaves you with more questions. And so through our large group instruction, tonight and in the future, we're going to help you learn how to become one-on-one teachers, and we're going to help you with your own by yourself instruction by showing you where to go to find the good things that you need. Okay, so what does a Temple and Family History consultant do? The simple line for that is that you're going to give personalized help to those people that you're assigned to help. And so that's the short, in a nutshell, answer. We know there's other things. Some of us end up working in the family history centers, and we know that there's a lot to that, providing help to those that we are assigned to. But that's basically what our job is. Okay, spell it out a little differently in a different way. Your job is to, when you're working with your patrons, to help them to discover who their family is and to help them to really get to know these relatives. Many of us have a pedigree, we know some names on it, but we really don't know the stories behind. And that's one of the things we can do, is helping our patrons to really get to know their relatives, their ancestors. We help them to gather living relatives and also the dead through temple ordinances, because temple ordinances is a part of what we do. It's not the only thing, but it is a part of what we do, helping our patrons gather their genealogy so that they can submit names to the temple. And then lastly, we help them to connect both with living and the dead within their family to build these bonds of love between the generations. And so this is where we're coming from. This is the goal. This is the overarching view of when we're working with people. We want to consider how we can help them discover, gather, and connect with their family. Okay, qualities that make a good temple and family history consultant. I think the first one is somebody that's willing to magnify their calling. Somebody that's willing to say, okay, I don't know much, I'll go out, I'm going to learn. If you try to magnify your calling, you will become very successful. If you don't, you'll probably languish and probably never accomplish much. All of us, no matter how much we know, when we're called into this position, find that there's more to learn. And as we magnify ourselves and magnify our calling in our life, we find that we become very, very helpful to the members of our ward. You're also going to want to be a teacher. This is a teaching calling. More than anything else, it's a teaching calling, a one-on-one teaching experience person. Now, one-on-one can be one you, meaning you and one patron, or you and a couple, or you and a family, but still essentially it's one-on-one teaching that you will be doing almost all the time. And also you're going to want to be willing to learn new skills. If you stay with us for any length of time, you're going to realize real quick the only constant in family search and family history is change. There's always new things coming along. And so you need to be willing to learn new things and never have the attitude, I know everything. I definitely believe in that. Okay, now who's going to support you in your new calling? That's usually the second question a person has when they've been called as a consultant. Well, every ward should have a ward, temple, and family history leader. Now, they did produce some formats for other types of setups for wards, usually for wards that are small, that are more like districts and things like that, where they don't have a lot of priesthood holders. Most of us live in decent sized wards to where there really should be a ward, temple, and family history leader. It may not be. If there is one, that is your person who's over you. That's the person you turn to when you have a question, when you need help, when you want somebody to work with. That's the person to turn to. If your ward has not called a temple and family history leader, then by default, it becomes the role of one of the counselors in the elders quorum, or if the elders quorum president has never made the assignment, it would be the elders quorum president. Normally, you would not work or deal with the elders quorum counselor or president because you would be working with the leader. But without the leader, you would be going straight to the elders quorum for direction and support and help and things like that. You also should have some form of training. Now, that's one reason why this training was turned loose to all the stakes in the area, because many stakes don't really have any regular training. And so we're just trying to help you out by providing something which hopefully is going to be useful to you. And as far as ours is concerned, sometimes we have new people here. The first Wednesday night training on the first Wednesday of each month is one that's geared to all consultants and also the ward and stake leaders. It's often a little bit deeper in content than the third Wednesday. Next month, the first Wednesday will be on historical records. Those are the records that are not indexed, but are found online at Family Search. We're going to talk about how to find them and use them. We also provide this meeting, the third Wednesday night training, which is usually focused in for beginning consultants or seasoned consultants that feel a need for more training. And so these are the trainings that we hold. Hopefully your stake has some too. And I know several stakes that do. They have their own training in addition to these. And you should try to take advantage of any training you can get your hands on, because that's the easiest way to learn how to do your job. Okay, some myths to bust. The first one is you do not need to be a genealogy expert. That doesn't mean that the opposite is true, that you can be totally ignorant of all genealogy. That won't work either. But you needn't be an expert, because there's ways to learn your calling and function very well and still be what you might consider a beginner in genealogy. Because there are certain things you can learn to use to help your patrons. And then if things ever get sticky and you really do need some heavy help, there's always people you can turn to for those things. But essentially, you need a certain background. You need a little bit of background on how genealogy works so that you can work in there, but you needn't be an expert. Another one is some people say, oh, this isn't a spiritual calling. This is all, paperwork and dates and places. Trust me, this is going to be one of the most spiritual callings you'll ever have, because when you're working with people, helping them provide the temple work for their ancestors who have waited centuries in some cases to have their temple work done, the veil is very thin, and this is a most spiritual calling. And the last one is that it's going to be difficult. Now, 50 years ago, I might have gone for that. Today, with all the things that we have, with all the tools and resources that have been handed out and things that help us to kind of like have cheat sheets to know where to turn to find things, it really is not that difficult anymore. Most beginners can pick things up very quickly. And so don't feel like this is something that's going to be so hard. If you've had the horror stories from the 1950s, throw them out, because this is not the 1950s and things are a lot different today. Okay, a little advice for you. One thing, participate in family history work by helping yourself. If you've been called, you don't feel comfortable, you don't feel competent, the way to get there is to work on yours every minute you can, because it's easier to work on your own than it is to work on somebody's who you don't know. And as you work on your own, you'll get the confidence and the ability to do the things that need to be done for your patrons. And so I strongly, strongly recommend that you spend as much of your free time as you can afford in doing some personal work in Family Search, learning how to navigate around, how to merge people, how to add sources, how to submit names, and do all these things that you would be expecting your patrons to be able to do. And you need to be able to show them so that you become comfortable doing it. That's the single best thing you can do for yourself above anything else. Secondly is participate in any training you can get your hands on. Training that's provided through your stake, our stake, or things you might see posted that are from the Family History Library or anywhere. Participate in any trainings you can. Just learn to suck up and assimilate everything you can find out about family history, because you'll be surprised sooner or later you're probably going to need to know that information. And then lastly, set a goal for yourself. Now, a lot of words, I don't know what your word's like. A lot of words are well organized. They have everything in place. Everything works properly. Your temple and family history leader is going to be feeding you names all the time. And then there's other words where you're called to the work, and it's like you're the only person alive in the ward that seems to be interested in family history. So regardless of whether they're giving you names to do or you need to find your own, try to set a goal to visit with at least a couple of people a month. You'd be surprised in a ward how many members of the ward can be covered if there's 5 or 6 consultants, if they each worked with 2 different members each month. Over the course of a year, the majority of the active members of the ward would get covered by doing that. And so, and it's not hard to say too, for 2 weeks I'll work with John, and for 2 weeks I'll work with Mary. And you, over the course of a year, you will have worked with 24 people. And so it's not really hard, but one way or the other, try to set a goal for yourself to do some active teaching, because that's what we're called to do. Okay. Let's talk about online training. Family Search is good at providing us with a lot of reading material, not always good about letting us know where it's located. And so we have several locations that we're going to go to tonight. And we'll start with what I call Consultants 101. And that is the consultant page that's at churchofjesuschrist.org. If you go to churchofjesuschrist.org, there's a serve link up in the menu. After you click on serve, you're going to click on family history. And when that comes up, you're going to click on temple and family history callings. And once you've done that, this is the page that shows up. This is where the hot links are and the portals are for leaders. So for the ward leader, there's a whole section that we won't talk about today that helps the leader understand his calling. And then there's a portal here for consultants. And this will be the one that we're going to go look at today and see what they provided for us. So we're going to click on the picture or the word consultant, and up comes a page that has the top part that looks like this. My calling is a temple and family history consultant. There are 4 links. Don't let links like that lull you into thinking there's nothing there. Those are strictly links that take you to pages of information that may have a dozen links on them. So we'll go through these one at a time, starting with getting started. When you go to the Getting Started page, they start out right away with a message from President Nelson from one of his talks, where he says, the Lord is hastening his work to gather Israel. And that gathering is the most important thing taking place on the earth today. Nothing else compares in magnitude. Nothing else compares in importance. Nothing else compares in majesty. And if you choose to, if you want to, you can be a big part of it. And absolutely being a temple and family history consultant puts you in that group that's helping to gather Israel. Absolutely. Okay, so what do they actually provide? They have a threefold purpose on that page. One thing is they talk to you a little bit about you're not alone. You've got the Lord to help and guide you. And then hopefully we'll find some human bodies to also support you. Then they provide several links that are for training and guidance for you that you can review prior to your being sustained and set apart, which for all of us sitting here is probably too late now. But if you're a leader, know that this is where you can turn, this is where you can provide some information to those people that you call prior to their even being set apart, because that link has a bunch of different things that they can look at to start to get a feel for what this call is that's been extended to them. And then after you're set apart, they encourage you to do the following things. First thing, remember your family comes first. Don't get so wrapped up in this that you ignore your family, because it can be a little bit all-encompassing after a while. It gets to be kind of addictive. So you got to be a little bit careful. Okay, counsel with your priesthood leader to receive direction. Pray for guidance. Participate in any trainings that are available. Participate in your ward family and history coordinating meetings, if they have any in your ward. I have a fear many wards don't have this. Help members to gather names for the temple. Help motivate them to take the names to the temple themselves. That's probably one of the biggest blessings you can bring to the family, is by encouraging them to actually take the names they find to the temple themselves. And then lastly, focus as you're working on people. Look around for investigators. Tell the missionaries you're available. If they have an investigator that's interested in family history, tell them you'd be happy to meet with them and see if we could get them started. New converts, because we want them in the temple with their names. So they're going to need some help getting those names ready for the temple. Newly reactivated members. And then also the youth, and especially the youth that are 11 and 12. these young people that are just going to the temple for the first time. Help make sure that they each get to take their own names. And this is a way you can be a great help to the ward in your special calling as a consultant, because you'll have the ability to help them with these things. Okay, the next one on there is, what should I focus on? Well, obviously, you're going to be focusing on helping people come into Christ and participate in temple and family history work. I mean, that's what we're about. What else should we focus on? We should focus on leading the Savior's way. That is really important. We want to be able to approach people as a disciple of the Savior, with loving, teaching, leading, and serving them. You know, President Eyring said, you're called to represent the Savior. Your voice is to testify. Your voice to testify becomes the same as his voice. Your hands to lift the same as his hands. And so as you're doing your calling, always pray to have the Holy Ghost with you. Prepare ahead of time how to help these people when you meet with them, so that when you meet, you have a plan in mind. And this is what we'll be talking about next month and in the months after that in the third week meeting, as we teach you how to actually make these plans and organize yourself. Plan on ministering to the one and then inviting them to act. Act in what? Act in going to the temple. And as we do that, we bless these families. Okay, and then last, and always help others. Help by following the Spirit, leading them to the temple, focusing on discovery, strengthening the living family. And you know, a lot of times as we do this work with people, we'll be called into families that might be dysfunctional or having troubles in the gospel. And you'll be surprised how often the Spirit comes into the home as these people work on family history. And so, in fact, we really are helping to often strengthen a living family. We're also ministering to the one, and oftentimes we're involved in missionary efforts in one way or another. Okay, who do I work with? Well, you work with the members of the ward, obviously. You work, we hope, with your ward temple and family history leader. And if, like I said, if you don't have one, then you'd be working with a member of the elders quorum. And then others to rub elbows with, I would really seek out, if you're a brand new consultant, seek out the other consultants in your ward, or if there aren't any, go to your family history center and find people that know what they're doing and just ask them to mentor you. You need somebody you can turn to whenever you have a question. And so look around and find one of those people that's well established in family history work, and rub elbows with them as much as you possibly can. And I'm sure most of us are more than happy to help you out as you're trying to learn the ropes and figure out how to do things. Okay, the last section in that page is resources. And they start out with two of them. One is the handbook, and they pull up the section of the handbook that is covering temple and family history work, and also covers the roles of the temple and family history consultants. Also, from the 2020 Temple and Family History Leadership Instruction, they have all these short videos that were used at Roots Tech back in 2020, which were very, very helpful in teaching people how to be a consultant and what the role of the consultant was and how the ward should operate. In addition, back in 2019, when they introduced this, Elder Renlund gave a great presentation on how a ward should be organized and the meetings that should be held and the plans that should be written. And there's a link for that on that page. And then also Elder Bednar's panel discussion from that leadership meeting, where he talked with a group of consultants and bishopric and elders quorum members about what need to happen in their ward. Those are excellent videos to watch. And of course, there's always FamilySearch.org. That's our main tool, the thing that we really need to learn how to use. And then in addition, they talk about at FamilySearch.org, going to the section that used to be called Consultant Resources, which is now called Helper Resources. And part of that is a thing called the Planner. And we're going to be going into the Helper Resources thing in just a second. And the Planner, which is a tool for your lessons that you need to make, is the tool you can use to help write them down. We'll be showing you how to use those in future lessons. But for right now, let's go over to Consultants 102, which is Helper Resources. Now this is over at Family Search. When you log into Family Search, go to the top of the page. There's a little question mark and a circle. That used to be called Help, because that's what that is. You click on that, and down at the bottom of the list is a section called Helper Resources. This used to house much of the same things that we've already talked about. Just in the last month or two, they've sanitized the site and taken out all the Temple and Family History Consultant specific materials that would talk about temples, things like that, and moved those over into churchofjesuschrist.org. They have left here things that are in a little more sanitary form, if you want to call it that, less temple oriented. And they call this Helper Resources for anybody who's trying to help somebody in Family Search. And so at the top of the page, there's 4 main sections here. Recent articles for Latter-day Saints, what's new at Family Search Community, and easy invitations. And then below there, there's some hot links. First, we want to talk about these 4 resources that are at the top of the page. Recent articles takes you to the church blog for family and temple and family history blog entries. And so here you'll see hundreds and hundreds of different blogs that have been made. These are short articles. You click on them, you open it up, and then they give you more information on whatever the topic is. And there's like hundreds of them. You can stay informed. You can subscribe by clicking on this subscribe link, and they will feed you a page once a month or so where they tell you all the new things that have been posted. This is the main way Family Search tells us what's happening, quite frankly. So these are general family history, general type things. The next section is what's new at Family Search. Now, these are also blog entries, but they're specific to the Family Search website. So you may see new things like improvements on the website, or the community in this case that they're talking about there, or the newly updated records. You might want to know they just had a weekly update come out. I was looking at it today. There's over 5 million new transcribed, indexed records from Mexico churches that were posted last week. Over 5 million new names that you can search for. Well, that was a major increase for Mexico alone, not counting all the other places on the earth that had new records. But those are things you learn by coming over here and looking at what's new at Family Search, and you can subscribe to those also by doing the subscribe link. Okay, Family Search Community. This is something new. This is kind of like Facebook at Family Search. It's a new site that they're working on that's just been activated, and it's there to help you get your questions answered. They have places there for consultants. They have groups there that are organized like the Help Center. So if you're needing help in memories, you can click in memories and ask your question, and the community will help you get the answer. It's also a place you can go with your research questions. There's a group for Germany. There's a group for New York. There's groups for all kinds of places. And you can go there and ask questions. And very often there'll be professionals from the Family History Library there and others who can help you. So this is the community. We may do a whole class on this one of these days. And the other one was easy invitations. This is something Family Search has had for a while, and I doubt any of us have ever used it. What they do is they know what ward you're in, and so they give you a list of members in the ward who have either record hints or they have discovery experiences or temple opportunities. And apparently they've turned off temple opportunities right now. If I wanted to help Sister Mock do some family history to get her started, I might click copy, which copies an invitation for her that I can send as an email. And if she clicks on the link, it will take her into her account at Family Search and show her some record hints that she could do or some discovery experiences. And so this is a way to kind of jumpstart some people. And it's just there for you to use. I don't know if anybody's even ever used it. I know I've used it once or twice just to see how it worked. But it's there for us. Okay, at the bottom of the page, there's a whole bunch of links. And so they have links like the Temple and Family History Callings link. That takes you right back to Family Search or over to churchofjesuschrist.org to the My Callings page. And the leadership session takes you back to those same links that we've seen. Now, there's a couple here that are a little different. The Temple and Family History Network and some personalized experiences. I'd like to show you those. In addition, you'll notice they'll give you links for how to use FamilySearch.org, indexing, family history basics, how to take somebody who knows nothing about family history and get them started, and also church policies. What are the temple submission policies for the church? But let's take a look just at these two here. And we'll then move on to something else. The Temple and Family History Network shows you as a consultant where you fit in the stream of family history workers in your state and area. At the top is our Fresno Area Family History Council people. Used to be called the Area Family and History Temple and Family History Consultants, but now you're called the Fresno Area Family History Council, Brother Firestein and his wife. Then, because I'm in North Stake, it lists the stake consultants that we have. We have 5 of us. And then it takes and shows you a drop down for each of the wards in your stake, and you can see who the consultants are in those wards. So if somebody contacts you from Gettysburg Ward and they want some help, you can say, well, you know, here are some names. You can go over and click on this and say, here are some people in your own ward. Why don't you contact them? And I'm sure they'll be happy to work with you so that they get help from people within their own ward. But that's set up for you so you know all the names of the people that you need to know that are involved in family history on the consultant side of the board. Okay, how to help others is an excellent resource. It goes through and talks about all kinds of things. And I just picked one out of this list and said, let's just see what they have to say about memories. What can I do with my patrons in the way of memories. They have a little video, and then they have several little activities and ideas of things that I can do with my patrons to help us. And there's actually 10 different pages like this with ideas for those different topics that were on the other page. So that if you're wondering, well, what can I do with these people? You come here and they'll give you a bunch of ideas right off the bat on these different topics. Okay, moving on because we need to get through this. Consultants 103, the Family History Guide. This is yet another resource that can be helpful to you. The Family History Guide's a little different. It's a third-party product. In other words, this is a group, they're actually LDS, who put this together as a training tool, and Family Search has approved it. In fact, it's the only thing Family Search endorses as a thing to help you with training. They've actually said the training here is so good, they endorse it. And so what you can do when you come here is you can learn about how to use Family Search, how to use Ancestry, how to use MyHeritage, how to use Find My Past, how to research in different countries, and a bunch of other things. But this is an excellent resource. You can either just Google the Family History Guide, or the web address is just thefhguide.com. And when you get into it, they have what they call projects. I would call them learning modules. Like for Family Search, they have a whole module on how to use tree. They have another one on memories, on descendancy, on discovery activities, on indexing, on help, on technology, and on DNA. So if you need help on how to do a descendancy research at Family Search, you could click on descendancy and it would take you to a page where there's a whole list of activities. There could be articles to read, there could be videos to watch, and there would be activities to do. And they're really a very well laid out learning plan, especially for the 4 main websites that we probably would need to learn something about. So excellent, excellent resource. Okay, last one's Consultants 104, the Help Center. When you're in Family Search has provided a help center. It's found by going to that same question mark and then clicking on Help Center. The Help Center has articles. You can search by a topic, a term. You can say, maybe you need to do some merging. You could just say merging. It will give you articles about how to do it. It'll provide you with some classes, recorded classes that you can go to, and it will also probably have wiki articles that you can read. And so they provide you with a bunch of different ways to get some help when you have a question. And so this is what the Help Center looks like when you first go to it. It has a search box up there at the top that you can click on, and it will allow you to do search. You can say, like, how do I merge 2 records? Or how do I tag people in a memory? Or something like that. You can ask it up here, but it will then search everything here. Or if you have a question, let's say about temple work, you can just click on the temple so that when you do the search, it only searches for the temple. That sometimes helps to filter out stuff that you don't want when you can pick one of these topics and do the search within that. Okay, so what's your challenge today? First thing is to try to remember all this. We will send you a PDF of the slides. We will also send you a link for where to find this on YouTube for the recording. And your challenge tonight is, before you ever even start working with patrons, try to become proficient using the tree. And we recommend that you spend as much time as you can working on your tree. Practice adding people, merging records, breaking relationships, add sources, all those different things that you're going to need as a consultant. And then try to have a mentor. If somebody hasn't been assigned, start asking, saying, hey, I need somebody to work with me, until you get assigned somebody who can help mentor you, or at least be your fail-safe, so if you need help, you can grab them. And then lastly, try to spend some of every day, if you can, as often as you can, using these learning sites and just digging around and learning what's available and what's there. And this helps expand your overall knowledge. And then take advantage of, like I've said, of any trainings that you hear about. Okay, so coming soon, next month, we're going to learn how to use the Discover, Gather, Connect ideas about how to teach a lesson. And so we'll go through kind of the planning mode of a lesson. And we'll also talk a little bit about a process that we've developed in our stake that helps consultants identify where the best place to mine a pedigree is for people, so they can find names to take to the temple, new names to add to tree, because there really is a technique there. And so that's what we'll be teaching in the third week next month. Okay, questions before that? Here's where you're going to find the YouTube channel. The channel is called Fresno North Stake Family History Center Trainings. So if you go to YouTube and you put in the search bar this, you should come up with this page. I've uploaded 5 or 6, I think there's actually 6 previous lessons up here. And I will add to this by tomorrow, tonight's presentation. And you'll be able to see the presentation here. And we won't have to worry about the documents we've had in the past for where to find things, because all of the presentations will be here. So, questions? Have I put everybody to sleep?
No, it was great. It was great.
A heck of a lot of
It was
material.
great. Thank you very much.
Things, Bob.
Bob,
Really,
you did
really
not
good.
put anybody
I want to try this.
Thank you very much. I enjoyed it.
Very much.
Bob, this is Sister Wilcox, and I was just wondering if anybody else is open yet?
We are.
You're
We
open,
are not.
and Hanford's not either.
Yeah, North
Selma
Stake is
is.
open.
Selma
Oh.
Ward is.
We're open on by appointment only.
Visalia Steak is open 3 mornings and 3 evenings, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
You know, it'd be great.
We're dealing with COVID,
ahead.